What Italian food product is described as black gold? This delicious luxury condiment can be served with cheese or gelato, and it's only made in a very small area near the city of Modena. Listen on to discover why traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena is nothing like the balsamic vinegar most of us know. Dreaming of arriving in Italy, strolling into a gelateria and ordering your gelato with confidence? If you've been learning Italian with language apps but still can't string a sentence together, it might be time to try another approach. My friend Michelle from Intrepid Italian offers a practical way to learn travel-ready Italian. Thanks to her unique 80-20 method, Michelle teaches you exactly what you need to know to connect with locals and have more authentic travel experiences. There's no getting bogged down in awkward phrases and unnecessary grammar. As an adult learner herself with Italian heritage, Michelle really knows how to bridge the gap between English and Italian. As Roma from London said, the learning methodology is great. I progressed much faster in the last 4 weeks than I ever did on my own or using other language apps. To find out more and claim your free Italian travel phrase guide, visit untolditaly.com/Italian or visit the link in the show notes. As a bonus, you'll also get an exclusive $20 coupon code to use on any of Michelle's online self-paced courses. So visit untolditaly.com/Italian and accelerate your Italian language journey today. Buongiorno, welcome friends. Today we're going deep into the Emilia region to discuss one of my favourite Italian food products. But first, today is a very special milestone and a milestone episode because I was just checking through some statistics on the podcast and realised that we've now crossed a very big threshold. Drumroll please. So far, there have been over 5 million listens of the Untold Italy podcast episodes. Wow. That's a mind-blowing number, and in fact, a lot of people listening to my voice over many hours and many years. And I really appreciate you all tuning in and supporting the show. Grazie, thank you. I know many of you have been listening to the Untold Italy podcast for many, many years, and I so appreciate it and all the lovely messages you've sent through over the years from all corners and continents of the earth, even from India, South Korea, and South Africa. It's truly amazing. We've come a long way since our first episode in 2020, and never could I have imagined back then that I would be recording our 290th episode. There's been a lot of water under the bridge, lots of growth and learning and changes, and now we even have an app where all the podcasts can be searched by topic and heard ad-free. It's all part of our goal to help you enjoy your time in Italy and seek out those hidden and special moments that keep you dreaming of your time there after many, many moons have passed. Now, this episode was not planned when I knew about this celebration, but in fact, our guest today represents exactly what Untold Italy is all about. My beautiful friend and colleague, Giulia Tamarri, is back on the show to share one of the most uniquely Italian products that comes from the town where she lives. Part of my mission here at Untold Italy is not only to surface lesser-known places and experiences beyond the main tourist paths, but also to shine a light on talented Italian women that I've met along the way. Italy is a very traditional country where women have to fight that much harder to have their voices heard. This is compounded by the fact that most discussions about Italy and Italians that we hear or see in the English language media, including Untold Italy, is predominantly fed by people who aren't Italian. And I really believe that we should hear a diversity of voices about all topics, but that it's especially important to hear from local people in the places that we visit. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Giulia back onto the show today to tell you all about the magic that is traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena. Bentornata, Giulia. Welcome back to the Untold Italy podcast, my dear friend.
Ciao, Katy. I'm so excited. Yes, I am back, and I am actually excited to share a little bit about my area with you all.
It's been a long time. I think it's been about a year since you've been on the podcast, Giulia. That's way too long.
Yeah, I think actually, Katy, it was maybe a year ago, and it was just after I finished the Parmelier course, because if you remember, it was about the Parmigiano Reggiano topic, and I was with my teacher back then. So 1 year ago, time flies.
Oh my goodness, that was a great episode. Everyone should go back and listen to that one because it was fantastic. And now Giulia does come from the amazing area of Emilia Romagna, which is the home of Parmigiano Reggiano, and also the topic that we're talking about today, which is traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena. Giulia, I know you very well, but maybe some of our listeners don't know you so well, but could you please introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, of course. My name is Giulia, and I am based in Emilia Romagna. I work for Katy on the Untold Italy tours, but I also have my little baby project, which is called Travel with Resdora. And I offer tours of my, I would say, neighborhood area, which is the area between Modena and Bologna. So I really specialize in the unknown parts around these two cities mainly.
Giulia is an excellent guide of her area because she's so passionate about it. And she's also a food ambassador for them too, because she's an absolute joy and a legend in her area. And anyone that has been on tour with Giulia just knows how very special she is. We're very lucky to have her on the Untold Italy team. And I wanted to get Giulia on the call today to talk about balsamic vinegar because I think, it's got a bit of an interesting reputation in English-speaking countries, and it's probably a little bit sad because it's not what you think. Yeah, everyone thinks it's that bottle that you squirt on a salad, but this is a condiment that is steeped in tradition and it's got a beautiful history, and the process to make the traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena is very, very special. Giulia, can you give us a little bit of a background into balsamic vinegar and the history?
Well, Katy, the funny part is that it's not only misunderstood by people not from Italy, but also by people from Italy itself.
Oh, no.
Because what's really special about it, it's that traditional balsamic vinegar, it's so rare, and I will explain later why it's so rare, that even people from Bologna don't know it as much, okay? Or people from other regions. This is just crazy because traditional balsamic vinegar is made only and absolute only in the Modena area. So only in this piece of land, which is exactly where I live, we keep this tradition alive. And I was just mentioning that traditional balsamic vinegar is rare. And actually, it's the question that I always ask to the people I make them taste. Have you ever tried a food that is at least 12 years old? The answer is, what? 12 years or months? Giulia, did you make a mistake? And I'm like, no. I'm serious. We are talking about years, okay? And I'm saying minimum 12 years, Katy. So this is why, obviously, it's very unique. Most people also in Italy think of balsamic vinegar not as traditional balsamic vinegar. And I know it might sound confusing, but also on restaurants, on restaurant table, you would actually mainly find what's called balsamico, which is what we call IGP balsamico. We are talking about something different today, which is the DOP or PDO in English, traditional balsamic vinegar. So make sure that you go for that big word, traditional. I know it's confusing, but can I just explain what is mainly the difference?
Mm-hmm. Right ahead.
Well, first of all, the taste and the consistency. The very first time you will try traditional balsamic vinegar, you won't go back. Okay. In one of the podcasts, I was talking about the famous ricotta coming from the Parmigiano Reggiano. It's like not a coming back thing, after you try that one, like, okay, bye. That's the best ever. Sorry, I don't want to sound big-headed, Katy, here, but we always call Emilia Romagna the foodie land, okay? So for all the foodies listening to us, please trust Giulia on this one. Come and try the traditional balsamic vinegar. So basically, balsamic vinegar takes at least 12 years to be made. up to 25 years. Okay. And obviously the taste is completely different, and the consistency, we actually nickname it the black gold of Modena. The beauty of it is like when you taste wine, so it's actually coming from grapes. So what's the only one and only ingredient of traditional balsamic is cooked must. The cooked must of grapes. So in Modena, if you have a vineyard, you go two ways. What do I do with my grapes? Do I go the path of wine, of vino, and obviously my area mainly Lambrusco, or do I go the path of traditional balsamic vinegar? Okay, so those, they select the cooked juice of the grapes, and there is a very special moment when we cook this must, grape must, which is October. So in October, because obviously it follows the season, no? So if you ever come to my village, which is called Spilamberto, the very first weekend of October, Katy, you would actually be able to attend our, pass me the expression, Christmas. It's funny because every village in Italy has a special fair. We in Spilamberto, we have two special fairs. One about the balsamic vinegar, which I'm going to tell you, and another one which is called San Giovanni, our St. John's, and we also have other traditions. We have loads of traditions, but let me go back to the very first weekend. So that's when we cook the grape must. And what do we do with this grape must? We put it into our set of barrels. Now, it's a little bit complicated. So let's pretend that, Katy, you win a set of barrels. Okay, so we start from scratch this year. What do we do? So first of all, this set of barrels is called batteria. And normally a batteria has got minimum 5 barrels. Okay, those 5 barrels are normally made of different types of wood, because each wood would give a special flavor into the end product. Normally, wood made for that is oak, chestnut, mulberry, juniper. I mean, these are the normal woods. If you went crazy, and many people do that, they say, okay, you know what? I really love cherry wood. I really like the flavor of cherries. So they might have a set of barrels made of only cherries. Or maybe you like more of a herbal and balsamic taste. So you would only get the juniper one, which is very hard to get.
Yes, that's very rare, isn't it?
And actually, if you ever taste the traditional made of only one barrel, you do feel the difference so much because it's completely different. Personally, Katy, I really love the cherry one because I have a little bit of a sweet tooth and I love cherries. So obviously, having a traditional balsamic made of that is so different. You really feel it. And so basically, going back, so Katy won a set of barrels. So this year, me and Katy go and cook the grape must. Then what do? With this grape must, we fill all the 5 barrels. And for at least 12 years, so for 12 years, we don't taste anything. We just work. When I have kids, I'm like, how old are you? Oh, I'm 7. Okay, you are not even a bottle of traditional balsamic. For 12 years, we cannot touch it. And what we do is the juice evaporates, and the smallest barrel is the only one where we take the liquid out from. Okay? With all the other 4 before this one, we have to refill. So you put the liquid from the 5th to the 4th, from the 4th to the 3rd, and so on. And you fill with the grape juice the 5th one.
Yeah. So it just gets more concentrated, doesn't it, as it goes on? So they're cooking some grape juice and then they reduce it and then they're adding some more and then they reduce it. And so by the time that we get to the end of the 12 years, then it becomes very thick.
Very thick. And this is what we call the traditional balsamic vinegar. But obviously our tradition has been so long that we go over the 12 years. So we also have what we call extra vecchio, which is minimum 25 years. And that's also even more different than the 12. So normally we do this kind of tasting. We try the 12, we try the 25, and then we try the different barrels. So because as I was saying, you can even think of doing a barrel of only just one type of wood. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see, like a batteria at a place where they make the balsamic vinegar, and they don't just have one set of barrels. They have many, many sets of barrels, don't they? And they do experiments on the different types of wood and the different aging processes. It's so interesting.
It's our life, Katy, and I'm not joking about it. So one of the things that I should mention is that in my area, we have a specific food product in each town. So in my town, Spilamberto, we are the town famous for the traditional balsamic vinegar because we have what we call the consorteria, the consortium. And Katy, you know it very well. We also visited during the Untold Italy tour because I like to joke about this because, well, first of all, they are amazing. The members of this consortium are extremely passionate, obviously, about the product, and their mission is to keep this tradition alive. But not only, they want to keep the authenticity of the production because, as I was mentioning before, the traditional one is what we call a PDO product. So there is a disciplinary that has been actually recognized by the European Union in 2000 that tells you exactly about the rules about this product. So there is actually a body that tells you if you can bottle that traditional balsamic vinegar. It's something very strict, very, very, very serious. It's very hard to have the PDO recognition, Katy, as we know. This consortium, so there are many passionate people, but there are also many volunteers. And I feel like they are my uncles because, they live, the consortium is 500 meters from my little flat, and they are there every day. There are these volunteers that the age range is 70s, 80s, okay? And they are there every day in the lab to check the acidity levels, the sugar levels for a product that takes at least 12 years. But no, they have to check every day. They're amazing. They're amazing. And plus, there is the grandmaster. So there are many masters that obviously look after their set of barrels. And then there is the Grand Master of Balsamic, and by joke I say the Pope of traditional balsamic vinegar. I hope they don't listen to this, Katy, because I don't know if they would like that. But basically they really do a great job in talking about the product, in keeping it alive. Because what happens is, okay, we have the consortium, but we have all the families as well in my area that keep this tradition alive. It's very, very special that each family has their set of barrels.
Even if they're not a big producer, every family has a set of barrels, don't they? And they have to get it checked. This is the one thing that I didn't really understand until I went to Spilamberto, is that if you want to bottle your traditional balsamic vinegar, you have to get it approved. Like Giulia said, you can't just go ahead and bottle this thing. You could call it something else, but you can't call it traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena. We do go to another producer, and he actually told us he's, has been rejected and he's had to go back and rebalance everything. And it's a big deal, isn't it? Because you're not getting very many bottles out every year because it's so concentrated. So if you make a mistake or something, it's a big problem.
It's a big problem. And actually, as I was saying, many families have their own, or if not, maybe a couple of barrels, because in the past, what happened was it would be the dowry. So when women would get married, they would bring this as a dowry. Nowadays, we also give a set when a baby is born. It's so nice, isn't it, Katy? So, for example, my best friend, she has got 2 daughters. So the grandfather has got his own private, and then he made one for my friend, and then they made 2 for my friend's daughters.
Oh.
So in their families, they've got 4 set of barrels. And they also do a competition. And normally when we meet at Christmas, because I always go and meet them, we always have the tasting. Oh, what is the best? Oh, how it changed. It's also a family thing, because it's so in our blood, if I would say,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Katy, I don't have my barrel. You know why? Because my dad is from Bologna and my mom also is from Bologna. So basically, it wasn't their tradition. And it's funny because if you check on the map, Bologna and Modena are only 30 kilometers apart. And that's why I was saying in Bologna, they don't know it. Well, it's not that they don't know it, but they don't use it as much, because it's a Modena thing, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's so interesting how hyper local this is. Like, you can't exaggerate this because, like Julia said, it's only 30 kilometers and, it's not it's like a pretty flat land in between, isn't it? Like, so I don't know. They're just doing their own thing in Modena and around Spilumberto, and it's a really beautiful tradition and it's very much worth seeking out. So, Julia, can you explain to everyone what is the taste of this traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena?
So imagine a thick consistency, and you would feel sweet and sour at the same time, and it's the equilibrium between the two. I would say that the 25 years old is what we call more harmonious as a taste, because obviously it has got more time in contact with these types of wood, and each wood would give an aroma. Again, it's a very complex taste. And this complex taste goes well with most things. I was asked how we use it. You would use this to enhance any type of food apart from coffee, maybe, and anything be enhanced by traditional balsamic vinegar. And if you're lucky, you are coming from Modena, you could actually use this black gold also on most common things. So, for example, imagine you are making a onion frittata,
Yum.
an omelette, 2 drops of traditional balsamic. This brings you that onion frittata, boom, to heaven, boom. It becomes immediately, something heavenly, because it gives you such a more complex taste. And as I said, it can also be something very simple, because you really only need a couple of drops. That's another thing. When we call it black gold, it's not by chance. It's really, you need very, very little. And Katy, you know this so well. We even put it on gelato.
Yes, that was delicious.
Isn't it, Katy? I know you are very passionate about it. So even on gelato, would you ever think of trying to put traditional balsamic vinegar? Well, in Modena, we do that. So think of a very nice crema gelato. It changes it completely. Or even on strawberries. Amazing. Obviously, on risotto, on meat, there are many, many different ways of using it. On tortellini, and you know how passionate I am about tortellini. Like tortellini alla panna, well, obviously not in broth, but tortellini alla panna.
That's the dish you have to try when you're in the area. It's the absolute best. It is so amazing. You've got everything in that dish from that area. You've got the pasta, you have prosciutto, you have parmigiano, and you have balsamico. It is like the culmination of everything Modenese, isn't it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's a feast. It's a feast that has to be tried. Obviously, we do also have lighter things too. If you're worried that we would fill you with, but that's our specialty. We like the rich food. Like we love this kind of like super tasty, And the other thing is all handmade. And really, it's like this. We are very picky, very, very picky. So if it's not made properly, we won't even offer it at all. Like, because we are used to have the best. The best also involves time. Actually, I mentioned before, there is only one ingredient in the traditional balsamic vinegar. Well, yeah, of course, it's the grape must. But think about the technique, the patience, the time. I mean, thinking about all the elements that go into this product, even the barrels. It's crazy how the coopers make the barrel. It's a very shared product by many, many hearts. So, we always say passion into it, but think of all the hearts that are in that bottle. It's crazy.
And it's quite expensive. Like, I mean, it's not the $7 one you get at the supermarket because it's a totally different taste, and that's very acidic, and you usually use it on salads and things like that. And you can get some very delicious balsamic vinegars that are made that way, which you can find still in around Modena too. And it's a very interesting process. And on the tour, we go to Nashataya, which is what they call the people that make the balsamic vinegar. And they're doing a lot of experimental things with different woods and aging processes. And it's very interesting to see that tradition versus the modern interpretation of balsamic vinegar. But it's all good, right? It's all delicious.
Yeah. There is also very good balsamic vinegar. So that's why it's a little bit confusing, because the traditional balsamic vinegar is the one we just spoke about. Then there is IGP balsamic vinegar, which is the one that doesn't only have one ingredient, because they could add other things too. Can also be very well made. So that's IGP. Okay. I would actually challenge everyone listening to check when they are at the supermarket or check what they have at home, to make sure that they read what type of balsamic vinegar they have, because very, very commonly is the IGP1. Okay, so there are all obviously different standards of this IGP. It could be very good, and the Acetaia we're visiting, they do excellent IGP. But to be honest, Katy, there is also horrible. There is stuff that is basically black water with lots of sugar. What's really horrible to me, sorry, Katy, is the glaze.
Yes, they try and make that sound like it's traditional balsamic, but it's just chock full of sugar, and that's the one that they squirt all over plates, isn't it?
Yes, that's horrible. And I see that everywhere, because obviously when we do tours outside of my area, I'm like, okay, please don't think that's balsamic vinegar. Please, please, please do me this favor. Katy, how they call me, the balsamic police. I'm sorry, I am very passionate about it, and I am proud to be an ambassador, but I'm not the expert, okay? So please come and meet the expert that make it. And if you speak to them, it's like you're talking about their mother. It's like, oh my God, untouchable. It's so funny.
I have been to the consortium, and they are very, very serious people. And, you go up into their room where they have their barrels, and it's very interesting because it's actually quite humid up there, isn't it? It gets quite warm. And, I think that helps with the evaporation process. But when I walked in there, I was quite shocked, and my eyes got drawn to one set of barrels, didn't they? And I said, is that what I think it is? And they said, and so if you're a big foodie and you know about the area of Modena where Giulia's from, you know that there's a very famous chef from that area, and his name is Massimo Bottura, and he's probably one of the most famous chefs in Italy. And I noticed that there was they have an embroidered cloth over the whole of the barrel, and it said Osteria Francescana, which is his very famous restaurant in the area. And I said, do you have the balsamic vinegar for Osteria Francescana? And they said, yes, we do. And, it's managed under very strict conditions there. So it's really worth going to visit the consortium and visit Spillamberto because of this tradition, but also it's a super cute little town. I've got to say, it's like it's got a little castle thing happening and little turrets.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's very off the beaten path because unfortunately not many people take the time to visit these little towns, and I think it's the beauty of Italy that of course you need to visit the big cities, of course, but there is so much beauty just around the corner that maybe it's a little bit less accessible, but I would suggest everyone to take the time to do explore us. And by the way, Katie, you are so right about that humidity and heat, but actually there is a reason behind it. And you just mentioned about the attic, and it's actually where we keep the batteria, the set of barrels, because we actually need this wide temperature variation throughout the day, but also the season, because obviously you need the Emilian heat, and trust me, it's not very pleasant. So I wouldn't suggest to come in July and August because it's really hot. Okay, so this product really needs this heat because it helps the fermentation process, but also on the other side, it needs the cold for the decanting. So you need to have this big peaks of temperature, and this is why it's the area of Modena only, because in this area we have this type of climate. In the attic they can't have air conditioning, so please don't be surprised that if you ever come to meet us, we make you experience the humidity. I know it's not pleasant, but it's not because we are mean people and we don't have air conditioning. It's actually because of the product.
And the other thing that I remembered about the balsamic vinegar is that the traditional balsamic vinegar, is that it comes in a very special bottle as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. And by the way, Katie, you know that Italians are big on design. And obviously, could it be a normal bottle? Of course not. No, of course not. This bottle has been designed by Giulietto Giugiaro, who is a car designer, but look at that. If you pay him well enough, he would also design balsamic the bottle. And so basically, there is this very special bottle, and this is what you need to look for. If it's not bottled in that, it's fake. And unfortunately, and I must say this, and this is why I am the traditional balsamic police. Please, please, please don't be fooled by people, because there are many cheeky people that do this, that tell you it's traditional balsamic vinegar. It cannot be sold if not in that bottle. So you would know this immediately. It's the distinct thing that you would recognize straight away.
It's kind of round, but it's got straight edges on the side as well. What we'll do is we'll find a picture and we'll put it in the show notes so everyone can see that.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's a very special bottle. Is there any particular brands that maybe people could look for, or like companies?
Thinking about traditional balsamic vinegar, I wouldn't say we can really talk about brands because it's so linked to families. Obviously, there are producers that are, obviously they have a bigger production, but you don't really have so many bottles. Well, one big name in my area is, of course, Sereni. They do amazing traditional balsamic vinegar and balsamic vinegar. Or maybe one that you have heard is also Giusti, is quite famous as well. There is one called Leonardi. Obviously, these are bigger names, but the beauty is also checking out the smaller artisans. Okay, so I would say maybe they are more widespread, of course, and do try them. It's like wine, try obviously different ones. So you could do the same with traditional balsamic vinegar. And the beauty is also going to little families to try their own. If you start becoming passionate, it's really like tasting wine. It's exactly the same because every family puts their touch. That's the beauty of it.
And the other thing, when you were just saying that, Giulia, I was thinking like people might think that it's alcoholic, but it's not, is it? Because they don't add sugar.
No. It's, as I said, only one ingredient. So it's natural sugar, no alcohol, no, because it's all natural fermentation. So literally, it's also very healthy.
I do think it's you can go and visit a lot of balsamic vinegar producers in the area, but if you really want to understand and have a good experience of the whole tradition of this amazing product actually is to go to Spilumberto and go to the consortium there. They've got a lovely museum there and they will take you through, and then you can see the batteria up there as well. It's a really interesting experience. And we took the kids, didn't we? And then they had their gelato with their traditional balsamic vinegar on top, and they loved it. And in fact, my son is absolutely obsessed by this concept. So he's got a little bit of Modena in his heart, my son. So, yeah, it is a very fascinating and ancient, it's been going for hundreds of years, hasn't it, Giulia?
Hundreds of years. Actually, when I was talking about the Modena area, we have got written pieces about the traditional balsamic vinegar from the 1600s. That's when the Este family was in power in Modena. The Este were like the Medici for the Modenese, no? And the very, very, very first definition appeared in the mid 1700s, just before Napoleon came to steal all the balsamic vinegar. Actually, you know what he did, Katy? He was a bit mean, Napoleon. We know that very well. So basically, when he arrived, he auctioned the Duke of Este vinegar, but, ta-da-dan, again, the proud nobles and bourgeois of Modena bought the barrels, and so they kept the tradition alive, so it actually got preserved. So with the decline of Napoleon, the Este family took over again. And actually what happened was in the early 1800s, there was a very famous prince that came to Modena. And what they did was to make sure that he could taste the finest, they started what we call the palio. Maybe you know this word palio because you think of Siena, palio di Siena, but we also have a palio of balsamic vinegar in Modena. So from the 1800s, we have got also lots of written letters about how to make the best traditional balsamic vinegar, so there was a lot of will to create again this super fine product.
There's a lot of tradition and passion behind this product. It's a very unique product from Italy, and it's really got a lovely family and community history behind it. And if you join us in Bologna or our tours in Emilia, you get to go to the consortium and meet the people there. And if you're very lucky, you might meet the Grand Master like I did. And you also go and you try some different ones. So you have that real local experience, and it's really, really lovely. Giulia, thank you. That was really fantastic. Now, I love talking about balsamic vinegar. I could talk about it for a lot longer. But if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, and if you're around, to take you on a little visit around Spillamveto and your area, how could they get in touch with you?
You could go onto my website, www.travelwithredsdora.com. I should spell Redsdora because it's a very difficult word, Katy. So it's REZDORA.com. And actually, Redsdora actually is a dialect word from my area, which actually means the women leaders of the kitchens and of the house. Okay, so not because I feel I am a leader of the kitchen, because I don't really cook very well myself, but I like to think of myself as the Resdora of traveling. So the Resdora are the creators of this amazing food, so think about the tortellino, they go and handpick the best prosciutto, the best parmigiano, the best nutmeg and so on to make the food. I also feel the same about creating an amazing tour experience for my clients. So that's the idea behind it.
And I have to tell you, if you go on tour with Giulia, you're very, very lucky. She's absolutely amazing, and we love having her on the team. So, Giulia, grazie mille. Thank you for sharing traditional balsamic vinegar of Modena. It is a bit of a mouthful, but I tell you what, you do want it in your mouth. It's one of those things that my kids say to me, Mum, where's that balsamic vinegar? And I'm like, they want to have it, just a spoonful of it. I'm like, maybe, okay. But it's a real treat, and we shouldn't really save it, actually. So I'm now going to go and see where it is. I'm going to go find it because I hid it from them.
The funny thing, Katy, I actually forgot to mention something, that we use it also as a medicine,
Just the thought of it makes me feel better about everything, really.
Because actually the word balsamic comes from balm, because actually we use it as well. And I think I already mentioned we are quite crazy in this area. When we have a sore throat, it's the very best natural medicine you could ever have. So yeah, keep the taste, but also as a natural medicine. If you are into this type of natural medicine, it's for you, isn't it?
Well, I think it's for a lot of different reasons. And you know what? I can't wait to get back into your area of Emilia. As you know, it's one of my favorite places in Italy. And I miss you. I miss everyone there. So thanks, Giulia, for joining us. Grazie mille.
Grazie mille, Katy. Thank you all. I hope you enjoyed it. Come and try the traditional balsamic.
Ciao, Giulia.
Ciao, ciao.
Listeners, Giulia came into my life several years ago and is one of the most generous, kind, funny, and professional people that I know. I'm absolutely thrilled that she's an important member of our Untold Italy tours team and know that she charms everyone with her warm and bubbly personality, which she gets from her beautiful parents who I met earlier this year. They are just as lovely as she is. The area where Giulia comes from in Emilia-Romagna, close to Modena, is a very special place, not just for the balsamico that you heard about today, but also for its friendly people who have a passion for both tradition and innovation. There are so many lovely towns to explore there, and of course, they make some of Italy's most delicious products. So what's not to love? We visit this region and go deep into the Emilia countryside, including Spilumberto, where Giulia lives, on our Untold Italy tour of the Emilia region. This is such a special experience because you meet the locals with a local, you try that gelato with a drizzle of real balsamic vinegar, and you go exploring the beautiful towns around the area. And if you're lucky, you might meet Giulia's dad too. So if that sounds like fun to you, reach out to us at Untold Italy Tours. We have a couple of spots left on our tour for 2025 and plenty more for our tours in 2026. As always, you'll find the details of the tour and the complete transcript of this episode, plus the places we mentioned on our website episode show notes at untolditaly.com/290 for 290. Grazie mille. Thank you again to all our wonderful listeners for your ongoing support of Untold Italy and our 5 million, not 5,000 listens. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, then it would be amazing if you gave us a rating or review in your favorite podcast app, or decide to support us by downloading our app and upgrading to the premium ad-free version, where you'll find our podcast episodes ad-free and searchable, and our curated travel guides for places all across Italy. That's all for today. On next week's episode, I'm sharing some of my favourite towns to visit in Italy in autumn or the fall. But until then, it's ciao for now.
The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are two of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.